Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Productive Joy. I'm just so excited about our guest today who's calling from Europe, but is from Dubai and via lots of different things. So cannot wait to hear her origin story and all of the wonderful things she's going to bring. But before we jump into Laura's story, I need you to follow this podcast. If you're not following, you do not get alerts that say, oh my gosh, I need more Productive Joy today. So do me that favor and then share it with everybody you know, because it makes a world of difference for other people to find productive joy. And that's what we want. And that's what we're going to discover today. So Laura Patac, right?
Patac. You said it perfectly.
Well, and your accent is much more beautiful than mine. She's a lot of things. She is an author. She likes to bring a fresh perspective to everything she does. She is a globetrotter. She defines herself as a learner. She is also, though, fun fact, a surfer, and she spent 3 years surfing in Barbados, and she didn't decide to do that until she was 50 years old. So I have a feeling Laura is going to be a spark of energy for us today. Laura, welcome to Productive Joy.
Christie, thank you so much for having me. And I do hope that together we are going to bring a lot of productive joy to your viewers and listeners. And let's get going.
Let's do it. Okay, I have no doubt we will. And I also know that people want to know why they should keep listening. So can you give us like a 30-second, oh my gosh, yes, I need to listen to this episode?
Well, I could do that. Let me see. So I think what I believe, and I hope that this is going to resonate with many people, is that the reason why we are in the place we are right now, in the present, is because there is a story behind. And that origin story, represented by some very specific foundational moments, represents the origin story of anyone.
Yeah.
And I encourage everyone to think for a second and just ask themselves the question, how I ended up where I am right now? What's the story behind? and if we can have endless conversations, and there are many methods how to be very concise and to build a very, I would say, insightful origin story. There is the realization method, where you just reflect and you have an introspection, thinking about the most important 3 to 5 aha moments in your life, and you understand where you have been, with whom, what were the circumstances, what kind of challenges you faced, how did you dealt with that, and ultimately what was the outcome and what are the lessons someone learned from that, from those 3 to 5 aha moments in life. I found this realization method, if practiced, and of course, everything is about consistency and practice. Practicing realization method and having this inquiry, not very often, but at least, once a year, when you are potentially at the end of the year, or when is your birthday. For example, I like celebrating New Year when it's my birthday, because that is for me the new chapter. I enter a new year. I'm really asking myself every year, okay, so another year passed, so how I ended up where I am right now. And depending where I am in this world, I might get very funny answers back.
Right, because I think God has a sense of humor on that a little bit, right? So here's what I heard, and I loved it, is that we all have a story, right? We all started somewhere, but if we'll pay attention, then we'll discover that there were very specific milestones that brought us to our current situation. But we can tell a lot about the history and through the history. I think sometimes we forget to look back. We're always looking forward and we're like, okay, we're going to move on. And that's important. But what I'm hearing from you is looking behind us is important too, and recognizing where we've been.
Yes, because doing so, it's not just that you go down to memory lane, but you have the opportunity to recognize some talents, some strengths which you already have in you, helping you resolve, escalate, move on or move forward from a specific situation. It's also an opportunity to remind yourself about those strengths.
Yeah.
Which made you be successful in that particular situation, and that is priceless. I think that we human being, we are wired to think about weaknesses first, and we are wired to see the half part of the bottle which is empty instead of full. This is how we are, and if we are aware and we recognize that, therefore we should balance that, really having a very good awareness and recognition of the strengths who helped us to be where we are right now.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with your origin story, because I'm going to guess you didn't start here. And I think you probably have quite an adventure. So why don't you kind of walk us through your process, through your story? Tell us about you, Laura.
Well, I do have, depending how much time you have, I'm just gonna try to give you my 3 aha moments in
Perfect.
life.
That's perfect.
So when I was 16, I realized that I have this amazing superpower to transform journaling into poetry.
Ooh.
I was an introverted child. It was very hard for me to express emotions, and at that time nobody was talking about journaling, but I was doing journaling. I was writing in the middle of the night my thoughts, my emotions, what happened at school, who told me what, and so on. So it was very intense because I wanted to be secret. So at one moment, I felt that I'm a bit misunderstood by my family, by my friends, and I said, what if I'm not just gonna go bluntly with all that journaling, saying, take this journal, read it, and you're gonna understand me. But I was thinking that if I put a bit of encryption, I'll feel very comfortable to express my emotions. So I added the encryption of metaphor. And through that, something extremely beautiful happened, because my mom discovered that I'm very good in doing that, and she started to get to know me much better, reading my poetry, and I got a coach, and I started to polish this gift. So fast forward, I was in my late 20s when I joined corporate America. It was very trendy that time because I'm Romanian as origin. So I was born in Romania, and we were just moving from communism to capitalism. And it was such an amazing change what happened to us, but we were not equipped with the behaviors, with the tools, and not even with the understanding that how big the opportunity is. But in that time, joining corporate America, having the handicap of not being used to speaking up, because we were not speaking
up. We were taught not to.
Yeah, we were taught not to. Very poor in speaking a second language. Very shy, and plus add on top of that my introverted style. My first impulse was to really prove through performance, and that helped a lot. But I was lucky to have a couple of mentors, and I learned English language watching movies with English subtitles. I think that many of your listeners or viewers speaking a second language, they recognize that it's a good method to read books in the language you want to learn, to watch movies with the subtitles of the language you want to learn. It's amazing. I think that I picked even on Italian, watching movies with Italian subtitles. So
wait, how many languages do you speak?
Well, yeah, I speak my language. I speak the English, which I'm speaking now. I also I learned Russian, and yes, because I was based in Moscow for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And you don't have any option than to learn Russian language there. a bit of Italian, and that's it. And now I'm trying, and this is going to be, I think, a very cool accomplishment. I'm trying to learn Arabic.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally different everything, right?
Yes, yes. So coming back to my story, in corporate America, I realized that I had to get out of my shell,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that I need a support model. And I think this is something which might resonate with some of your listeners and viewers having jobs and working in corporations. I think what is very important when you want to build a career in corporate America is that you really need to have a support model.
Yeah.
I call it the tripod.
Okay.
And the tripod is about definitely your family is one leg of that, is like a chair with three legs.
Yes.
So it's one leg. After that, you really need to have a very good understanding who your stakeholders are, and to really engage relationships which will help you become from invisible visible.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one, and I've seen a lot of even my colleagues from corporations. I think when we are in corporations, we are very shy to get out, to be on LinkedIn, to be on social media. Where maybe some of them they are on social media and they are doing a very great job, but based on what LinkedIn statistics are saying, is out of I don't know how many millions of LinkedIn users, only 1% is posting.
Yeah.
So therefore we are very shy. And what I encourage everyone is to start building a networking strategy. And that will be the third leg, which is going to help them in long term. Now, of course, when I'm saying family, and I'm talking also about the family, but also the family of choice.
Yes.
Because my friends are like my family.
Absolutely.
So it's the family. Understand your stakeholders, build your visibility and credibility outside of your job, build it in your industry, outside of your industry, because that's going to help you long term.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring the story back.
Okay. That's great. No, I have lots of questions. So yes, keep going.
So in corporations, I put my faith in some very good mentors. I stepped out from the shell. I even took classes for public speaking because I had to. So, and it's very important to understand where you need help. And I think storytelling and all the creativity which I got with me from my childhood, and I grew my creativity and my storytelling skills helped me to become very good in problem solving, inspiring and influencing within organizations. Because if you are thinking about storytelling, it's all about, we do storytelling 70% of our time.
Yeah.
Feedback is storytelling, presentations is storytelling. Even if you have, a glass of wine after work, like happy hours with some colleagues, with some peers, that's storytelling. So I learned the power of storytelling, and that helped me a lot. Now, fast forward, it was something back at my mind all the time, because I stopped 25 years in different organizations. Actually, I put on hold this writing. But when the COVID kicked in, I got back a bit to my journaling. That was the moment, I think, for many people. And I hope that everyone recognized that period created the white space for introspection and self-reflection. So therefore, it created that space. And I started again to write. And I had a chance to meet in a women's circle this amazing lady reading my poems and pushing me for publishing.
Yeah.
And that was the moment when I said, if there is one thing which is going to be a very solid legacy. That's going to be a book.
Yeah.
And the book is called Stories with Purpose.
Yeah.
Your story has purpose too. And it's a collection of 28 personal experiences encrypted in poetry with the story which inspired that metaphor and some mind-bending questions for readers, enabling them to write their own story.
I love it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's back up. My original question to you was about your origin story. And what I heard is that from a young age, 16, you were writing because you needed to get things off of your chest. You turned that into something special, something different, something unique in those metaphors, and you created this wonderful poetry. How great that you then recognized that that didn't need to stop there, that that actually would carry you forward. When I think about our listeners and I think about the desire to create more productive joy is a choice, but it's also personal. And for you, what you did is you took that personal desire to get your story out, and then you turned it into this book that people can then take and go, okay, what can I glean from this? That's what life should be, is a series of opportunities to learn a little bit more about things and then move forward. And you've done a beautiful job, Laura, of making that accessible to people and
Yes.
to getting them to get their story out too. And you did some of that in corporate America too, which is pretty great. Not always easy, right?
Now, well, indeed, getting around in corporate America, it's not an easy job, especially if you are not someone very fond to politics.
Yes, because it is all very political, isn't it?
Very, very political corridors of power. But hear me out. This is like everywhere. It's not just one company. I think that each and every company with more than 500 people, diversity is always going to bring challenges, but it's also going to be a catalyst. I'm looking to the diversity, not in the sense it's like, oh, it's going to create. I think diversity in essence, it's a catalyst and could create amazing productivity. As long as we understand individual stories and individual strengths. Because when you understand people's background and understand, their origins, what is their culture, what's going on in their life, what were those moments in their life which brought them in the same group with you, and you understand their strengths, their values, from that moment on, you understand how we can complement each other, because each and every of us, we are good in doing something, but we are not good in doing everything.
Right. One of my favorite phrases that I use with my kids often, they're grown, but still, that I think is important to remember is if we're constantly judging a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will always feel stupid, right? Fish aren't meant to climb trees. Some
Exactly.
people are not meant to do public speaking. Others are not meant to understand and manipulate spreadsheets. Others are really great in finance, and others are really great in personal whatever. And some have combinations of those things. But as soon as we realize that we're not all meant to be great at exactly the same thing, then we can start to be truly great, right?
Exactly.
My friend Amy Kemp calls that your unique genius. And once you figure out your unique genius, like I couldn't take my journals and turn them into poetry. That is not a gift that I have. I'm grateful you have that gift, but I can learn from your gift, right? And you can learn from mine. So that leads me to my favorite question, because I think it definitely dovetails into what you just said. If you had to define productive joy, how would you define it?
Very good question. I'm going to say it like this. Productive joy for me is going to be to do the things which could serve others to grow or to develop. And in doing that, I'm going to do that with like my full heart and joy. And I know that I'm going to have so much satisfaction coming out of it. And I'm going to put at use all my talents, which they become already strength.
Mm.
Being a learner. I was a learner my whole life. Being a very responsible person, being the kind of person which can juggle with different things in the same time. And that's not called multitasking. It's called arranger. I can juggle and I can arrange things in a way that they become the most productive one. So I think productive joy is that you do your best every day. You do it with passion. You do it to serve people. If you are a leader in an organization, you serve people no matter what, and you do it in a way that you bring value. You bring your best at the table, and you take the best out of people around you.
Yeah.
Actually, this is the one. I give the best. So the way how I think is like I write. So to bring the best of me in order to take the best out of the people around me.
Oh, I
I
love
love this.
that.
I love this.
Well, and you did a beautiful job of describing that too. You also said, with you have a full heart and that equals satisfaction. When we're in productive joy, we're doing what we're best at and we're helping others find that same space. What a fabulous definition. What I have loved most about this podcast is that I get a different answer every time. And yet they're all very much related. And I'm starting to notice some themes. I've noticed that peace is often something that comes alongside productive joy. I've also heard most frequently that it is a choice. It's something that you have to choose to do, that it doesn't just happen to you. You have to go seeking it. And then what you just said, leaning into our talents, which is really how you started this conversation, figuring out that origin story, knowing who we are and who we're meant to be, and then using that to bring out the best in others. What a wonderful tribute to how we're meant to be as humans, right? As humans,
Amazing.
we are supposed to take care of each other in that beautiful way that you just described, Laura. And I am thrilled that you are not only doing that, but you have written a book, Stories with Purpose, so that people can do that whether you're sitting in front of them or not. But I want people to be able to find you. So what's the best way to get a little more Laura in their lives?
So the best way is my LinkedIn profile, very active on LinkedIn. They will be able to learn more about my story, reading my book, Stories with Purpose, available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, I think all digital platforms. And I'll be very happy to connect with anyone reading the book to understand what was their take on the book and how the book help them to start pencil their own story. And also there are a couple of chapters over there talking about how they can start discovering their superpower to pinpoint a bit of those talents which with practice they could become your superpower.
Yeah.
Because you have them. Sometimes we forgot. I love how you said it. Sometimes we forgot that we are good at doing something, maybe because we don't realize, but we really need to see it like every day and to remind ourselves, you know what, I'm good in doing that.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. Let's apply it again.
Well, and it's also recognizing that that thing that you're good at is something others need. I think sometimes we think, oh, that's just easy. Well, it's easy because it's your superpower. It's not
Exactly.
easy for everybody. So what can I bring to this group in leveraging that talent that I happen to have? Because it may or may not be my job. Right. So, some of us have had the privilege of marrying our careers with our passion and we're able to put those things together. But for many of us, we're doing our job. And yet we have this talent that isn't being tapped into in that space. And it could be, right? It could be something that could definitely enhance the wonderfulness or the fullness of our jobs.
I love our conversation. I love the way how we connect. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah.
Love your questions.
It's been fun. Well, you know what? Because you have a fascinating story, and I know people are going to want to find you. So we've got that taken care of. And I also know that you're going to have some pretty fabulous answers to my rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Let's do
Okay.
that.
Question number one, what is your definition of fun?
My definition of fun is writing.
Well, and you're very good at it. So look at that. It's
I love writing. I love bringing up ideas. I even sometimes have fun reading my old manuscripts.
there you go. Growing a bit revisiting, right?
It's like
All right. How do you know that you are showing up as your authentic self?
I would say because I bring my best self every day at the table. I really like talking and engaging in conversations with many people. I like learning about people. And I also think that I can hold a space for people to just talk to me.
Mm,
Being authentic means that you walk the talk. What you say is what you do. How you behave with someone, you behave in general. Is not that you have different behaviors for different people. And I'm going to say it very simple. What you see is what you get.
yeah, I love that. I love that, Laura. How do you channel your best self on your worst days?
That's a very good one. I think that I'm blessed with a very good energy and positive thinking. I like to believe that there is something good in any challenge. There are no worse days. When people are asking how was your day, my every day it's a good day, because even if I have challenges, I think that I'm able to take something out of it
Mm,
and maybe teach someone else.
love it.
So to me, my my worst days, I don't have worst days.
Well, that's a choice, though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm glad you're choosing wisely. All right, last question, tough question. If people can only remember one major thing from all of the brilliant things that you've shared with us today, what's the one thing you really want to leave people with today?
I would like to leave people today with a quote from my book, page 26, that says like this: stories are catalysts. They evoke emotions that can transform you from within, encouraging you to explore your own purpose and potential.
Mm,
So what I really want people to, your listeners and viewers, to think about, bringing the story back at where we started, and we started about talking about stories. I want them to think that out of all the stories we listen to in life, two stories are very important: your own story and the stories you tell to yourself here in your
mm,
head.
mm. Whew. Okay. Well, thank you for that mic drop moment. Most definitely something we all needed to hear. Laura, you were an absolute pleasure to get to talk to today. This was fun.
Thank you. Thank you, Christie.
Well,
It's mutual, and I'm super excited right now. I'll tell you, the energy was like really raising while we were talking, and I know myself. I was getting closer to the screen, like almost close to hug you. So thank you for that.
well, I wish we could hug, but you're in Europe and I'm in Florida. So unfortunately, we can't get that close, but we can virtually hug, which I would absolutely love as well. And listeners, y'all, you come here to get a shot of B12, and that is exactly what you're getting. And so just a couple things to think about. Consistency and practice are both super important, and that's what's shaped Laura into who she is. We all have a story to tell, and it starts with our origin story. And the more we grow and change, and the more we think about those aha moments, the more we'll understand our purpose today, this day. I also want to just emphasize what Laura just said, and that's that our own story matters, and it's ours and it's unique. And so as you're thinking about how you're going to use this information today, I want you to think about your own story and what your story has told and what your story is meant to tell others, because that's really, in my not so humble opinion, productive joy. And so thank you for being with us today. Thank you for listening. Please share this episode. And I want you to figure out a way today to turn fun into action.